What is up, bros? Me, Josh here. In today's video, we're going over a new battleship coming to World of Warships. That's the Tier 7 HMS Duke of York. This is a new battleship coming from the UK tree, the UK branch, and it's going to be a Tier 7 premium. Now, this is joining a big group of ships. Tier 7 has been seeing a lot of new ships coming. The Ashitaka is another one that is just starting to show up. So, Tier 7 is getting to be pretty popular and pretty packed, especially with battleships. And also, if you can see, it's going to be the fourth battleship for the UK, for Britain, that will be in World of Warships, and the third premium. So it's pretty freaking interesting. So if you have ever seen this ship before, it's basically a King George, the Tier 7. They're very, very similar. But this Duke of York is kind of a weird thing that wargaming has started to do over time, and it's making very, very niche ships. And what I mean by that is very specialized ships, ships that are very good at certain things. Wargaming makes it premium. They kind of like to make it kind of special, and it does this pretty well as time has gone on. We've started to see some pretty special ships like the Perth and the Huang He, and kind of all these other kind of ships that are just different and specialized in what they do. And this is kind of a pretty extreme specialization when it comes to this ship because of what the Duke of York has, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. So just going over the normal stats, remember this is basically a King George, so we're going to be very, very similar to all of its stats. Keep in mind the King George does not have a captain on. This does have one of my main captains on it, but just like the King George, 60,500 health. The armor layout is going to be the British, so it is going to be pretty damn armored on the side, but it will take pretty high alpha damage, so the citadels won't be something you really need to worry about, but you are going to take alpha damage, which is going to kind of add up on what the ship can and cannot do. Torpedo protection, 24%. Main artillery, 18.1 kilometers, which is fine for Tier 7, even going up to Tier 9. That's a pretty decent range. Main batteries, 25-second reload. Turrets are kind of slow, but not too bad. And you get that weird, what is it, the 424 with the 4 in the back layout, just as you see on the King George. Now, AA, this thing has amazing AAs, like almost hood level AA, actually better than the hood. And the thing it does is it does have the AA consumables. So the AA on this thing is an absolute beast. Your mid-range is getting a ton of damage. Now this is just with the module and a captain with AFT, so you could spec this thing out to be a complete monster. I run my Scharnhorst. I think the Scharnhorst does have my captain on it right now. And we're going to get values even higher than kind of the Scharnhorst for its AA. So the AA on the Duke of York is going to be pretty prime. And that's kind of the part of the specialization in the ship. Maneuverability, pretty decent. 28 knots at Tier 7 is all right. Turning circle, so it's kind of maneuverable. Comparing it to the King George, it's almost the exact same, but it's actually a little more agile when it comes to rudder shift with 12 seconds. So you are going to be able to turn a little bit more, and you are going to need that. Detectability 12.2, which is pretty low for the tier. I mean, comparing it to the Scharnhorst, Scharnhorst is at 15, and the Nagato 16, so you are pretty damn stealthy at this, and you are going to need that. I mean, even comparing it to like the Nelson, which doesn't have a captain on it, you'd be pretty competitive right there. So all in all, the ship stats on this are okay, right? You're like, okay, it's the King George, has better AA, I'll take it. It's a little bit more agile, I'll take that. It's stealthy, I'll take that. But one of the main thing that this battleship does not have, and it is the first time I've ever seen it, does not have a heel. There's no heel on this ship. The ship does not have a heel. Let me repeat, no heel. No heel on this ship. 60,500, what you see is what you get. So if you lose anything from fires, lose anything from torpedoes, lose anything from taking massive alpha damage that the UK battleships take, you know that whole thing that UK battleships have great heals? Well, this one is a non-healing unicorn because it does not have one. But what it does have is it does have sonar, and it does have AA. So it's now the second battleship in the game we've seen with AA, along with its basically its cousin at Tier 7, the Hood. So it does have some tricks up its sleeve, but my god, you cannot take damage in this because you'll never get it back. And that was one thing that was kind of interesting when I played that, and we'll get into some game footage in a little bit. So for upgrades, this is what I take. I take the main armament mod 1. I don't want to lose those guns. Lower risk of fire and flood. I'd like damage control system mod 1. The extra AA, buff that AA up. You need it. If you get struck by a CV, you know you're not getting any of that back. And steering gears, so even a better rudder shift to avoid those torpedoes. So let's kind of dive into some game footage of the King George, the Duke of York. Getting them confused now. Too many UK battleships at Tier 7. The Duke of York, and I'll kind of talk you guys how to play this and what I think they might need to do to maybe save this ship for the long run. So here we are in game with the Duke of York, and my division actually has the King George. So if you really have ever played the King George, the Tier 7 for the Royal Navy battleship line, it's going to play exactly the same as in good HE, AP on broadsides, very, very typical Royal Navy battleship. So if you have played that, I actually enjoyed that ship a lot. I had a very high average damage in that. It's a really, really good HE thrower. You're going to be fine. But the thing about this is the punishment for any kind of mistake, it is just magnified. You take a decent salvo from the side, you get a little too close, it will burn down. In the King George, you can heal it back. This, you have to play very, very, very safe, and I think that's going to rub people the wrong way. I playing very, very passively in this game really, really kind of bugs people. So you get a battleship, and I think this is something that Wargaming is trying to do, and this may be their test ship. I mean, when they brought Royal Navy battleships in, they became this very passive line, right? They're a line that couldn't really tank. They launched HE at range, and things kind of got very, very passive. You saw Conquerors at high tier at basically max range, but they would still do great damage. But still, you would start to get some that would kind of push in, get a little bit more aggressive, and use those insanely strong heals. With this, you don't have that heal. You know, as a battleship, you almost rely on that heal to be aggressive, to push up, do that quote-unquote battleship role of tanking and stuff like that. This can't tank. It just doesn't have the ability. So this is the first time we have really seen kind of I guess, a battleship in a cruiser role. You're basically just a large cruiser. You have great AA, you have good sonar, stuff like that, but you just can't get close to anything, because if you do, you just get so punished, right? If you're going to go against the King George will just win because he can out-heal you. If you go hit for hit with them, you basically are just going to lose. You basically lose with almost every battleship. So one thing I could see making this kind of work is having a pocket destroyer, having somebody to kind of baby you, since your detection with smoke, as he is lane 1 right here, is just a little bit higher than what the detection is. I think it's 12.7 for the actual shooting and smoke penalty. So it's not too bad. So maybe if you have like a pocket destroyer, it would be kind of nice. Also, if there aren't any CVs, this is a ship that really relies on CVs. So if you want to run maybe a high AA division, then go for it. But I'm kind of missing, like, why not just take a hood? You know, if you have it, or why not just take a Scharnhorst if you have it? You can run extremely high AA ships, and especially a battleship role, but they can actually do the role better because they have that healing ability. So this is very, very interesting. One of the ideas we were kind of throwing around in my stream when we were kind of talking about this is maybe lowering, and you know, this is again just kind of throwing ideas out and brainstorming on what would make this ship a little bit better, because you can do well. You just have to play very passively. It's very slow, which I think will be unpopular in the long run for a lot of people. You know, a lot of people like the ability to just kind of hit W key and be a battleship, and then let people in chat know that they're a battleship because they hit W key and they push forward. And that's all right. You need tanks. You need that. You need people to take in damage. But this is a playstyle that's really not going to rub people the right way. But when you shoot, you have basically this 20-second window of being penalized and being spotted. Now, it would be very interesting to see if maybe this is the first ship they mess with that a little bit, and maybe give it a smaller firing window. Maybe bump it down to 15 seconds. Or, you know, it's already a stealthy battleship. Maybe bump it down to 10 seconds and see how that goes. Maybe mix around with that value a little bit of, yes, you don't have a heal, but you're spotting your ability, and this is basically your worst nightmare in a battleship. Even though I had the Hydro, I didn't think he'd launch him because I hadn't seen him already. This is, again, damage you'll never get back. And any other battleship, you would have got it. So taking 2 torps in this ship is just an absolute nightmare. That's 30k. So as you can see, there's no little green bar. There's no little nothing of things you will get back. So it is definitely a downer. But I would like to see maybe Wargaming play with that a little bit. You know, messing with that value of getting spotted. Like right now, we'd be dark already. So if you don't have the heal, you then go in and out. So your amount, or your time to get punished is going to be a lot less than, let's say, like a normal battleship. So I could see maybe them messing around with that. There needs to be some kind of trade-off with there being a, you know, a no heal to, there has to be some kind of trade of you lost this heal and you need to get this in return. So I could see them maybe doing that. That's my idea, at least. I don't know if they'll do it. They probably won't. But we'll see, because right now, just kind of this ship could be very good um, if you played it a single certain way. I just don't see the reason why to bring it over anything else. It's only the second battleship that has an AA consumable over the hood at tier 7, which is also tier 7. And it's not like it brings torps. It's not like, it's not like it's a radaring battleship or anything like that. It has hydro, which is nice. It's definitely a nice thing. But really, the majority of the time, you're not going to be close enough to really be spotting things in smoke, or you're going to be hitting those long range torps with, for your team. That's about all you're going to get with that hydro. So I guess we'll see. Again, this is a work in progress ship, and it's subject to change. I don't think this will get released like this. If it does, I just don't think a lot of people will like this ship during the long run. I just don't think it's going to match a lot of people's play style. So, because you just have to play it so passively, and a lot of people don't like that. But anyway, in this game, as you can see, we're using a lot of APHE, which is what the Royal Navy line kind of needs. And we're trying to take out as much stuff while not taking an insane amount of damage from these guys. So kind of using that armor if I can, using the angles, and kind of using any kind of cover as I can. Of course, you saw we use that smoke as much as possible, put a nice little hit into the New Orleans, and taking 2 torps makes our life kind of hell. But we're going to start burning these guys down using that HE from the battleships as well. We've kind of seen something like this where they put out the Huang He, where I didn't think they would. The Huang He, if you guys remember, was basically like a perf style. It's one of the few ships that has a moving smoke, and it ended up being basically like a Perth but higher HE, and but it had less guns. And I didn't think they would release it like that. They ended up doing it. So this is Wargaming's kind of way to really start pushing these very, very role-specific ships. You have a very, very supportive battleship, and it makes you being supportive in kind of that back line. So I'm interested to see kind of what else they put out. They're pumping out a lot of premiums right now. We have the Ashitaka, the T-61, the Agile, I think, is the other French destroyer. There's a lot of ships that are work in progress right now, a lot of ships that are coming down the pipeline. So I'm interested to see, instead of just making, a ship that's a premium version or something like that, they're starting to kind of get very, very niche. Battleship with radar, when we saw in the Missouri, AA on a battleship, which was the Hood, and we're starting to see these kind of very unique ships as it goes, and I'm kind of interested to see how specific they go. This is probably the most specific we've seen in a while, maybe outside like the Huang He, I guess. The Huang He is kind of this mediocre ship, but if you run a high AA build on it, it could be a very, very stealthy AA ship in the long run. So this, again, if you run it in a certain build, high AA, you could potentially do a lot of damage in the long run and be relatively successful. We were relatively successful in this game, but again, I don't think we would have done anything because there was no CV. Of course, maybe if you run in a CV division with this ship, it'd be very good, but you're kind of reliant on that to be very effective. This, though, I feel like I would have been able to do a lot more and be a bit more aggressive if I was just in a King George like my div mate. He was able to be a lot more aggressive than I was, as we kind of held on this line, and kind of tank a lot more. Me, I had to play a lot more passive. So our destroyer right here is going to drop a nice little smoke for us, and then we're going to get, I think, a nice little shot on this Belfast. So if you've ever played against the Belfast or played against anything like that, it can go boom. It can definitely go boom. So the value when you do shoot with the I believe the King George and the Duke of York, is 12.7. So I'm definitely in spotting range of these guys. So I'm kind of trying to, ease away a little bit when it comes to that. You can see I'm quarter speed right now, and trying to work a little bit as I can. Now the Belfast is of course going to radar me if he can, and the Amagi and stuff like that will spot me. So I'm trying to get just a little bit farther away. So down he goes, and we're just going to absolutely blop this guy. So nice little dispersion right there, and there we go. I'm almost didn't get a devastating strike right there. Come on, yeah. So again, you can't really do too much. So I'm trying to use that 12.7. I'm looking for that value on that Amagi. So just a little bit longer, but only 6,000 life left. So I had to get really, really, really lucky here. Hopefully not take another shot, and we didn't. So we got pretty lucky there. And now we can kind of shoot freely, and I hope I don't get set on fire. And we did. So already 100k damage, triple sit on that. We got a bunch of fires too. We got to kill on that Belfast, so our time is limited. Again, like if I was in another ship, it wouldn't be that big of a problem. But since I am in this ship, we are going to go down because there's just no healing. You know, maybe I should have played it a little bit slower, but for me, it's just not my play style. You know, so down we go. 100 and what do we end up getting on that last little salvo? Let's see what we get total. One more hit. So 106k. I'd only played this game. I only played the ship a couple times because it just doesn't really excite me. If I want to play a battleship, I want to be semi-aggressive and be able to use my health pool to my advantage. With this, with the punishment just being so high, there's not really much you can kind of do in the long run, you know. So I think this kind of ship has potential. I would love to see Wargaming really use maybe a smaller shooting window just to see if it works, because other than adding a heal, I don't really know what they're going to end up doing with this to kind of make it a successful premium. I don't want to be too negative on the ship at all, but I think it's a good attempt at something that I don't think will quite work. You know, a heal on a no-heal battleship, you just go, okay, well, how about I just bring a healing battleship and then I'll be fine. But anyways, here's the quick review on that. Remember, guys, it is work in progress, so things are subject to change. I think it will be. I do not think this is the final version of this ship. Yeah, overall, very interesting. Kind of an interesting pattern on what Wargaming is really pumping out with some of their premiums. And yeah, we're going to see what ends up happening with the ship. So another Tier 7 battleship, another Tier 7 Royal Navy battleship, which we've been seeing a lot of. There's now going to be 4 of them. And looking forward to the potential of this kind of pattern of ship. We ended up winning this game, 106k. I won't make you guys go through the rest of it, since we did go down with our nice and special fragile ship. But anyways, you guys are awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys kind of think about this kind of pattern of ships. Do you guys like it? These very, very specialized ships. Let me know what you guys think of the York. Do you think this will work? I'm seeing some trouble with this potentially. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think of the York, and let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this pattern of ships. Hope you guys like this video though. Remember, like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.